Hey y'all, welcome back to Red at the Wire. Well, here we go again. We got another scratch. Continuar has bowed out of the race, and not terribly surprised. The trainer pulled him out this morning, and he hasn't been looking comfortable over the oval at Churchill Downs, so it's no surprise that they'd pull him out. So consequently, King Russell draws in. So we've got to update our records. So I've done an analysis of King Russell, and kind of a truncated version of our usual format, form, class, speed, and pace, the four elements of handicapping. So let's take a look and see what we got. King Russell draws in and gets the 23 post, which is in effect the 20 hole. So he's on the extreme outside of the field. He's had 6 starts so far, 1 win, 3 seconds. And the Arkansas Derby is really the only race we have to judge him on because it's the only graded stakes race on the Derby trail he ran in, and he got a second place. He's form-wise, he's a late runner, and he won't be trying to jockey for the lead. So his post isn't going to be such a bad thing for his running style. He gets a C because one race does not a Derby contender make. But it was a fairly decent effort, so we can at least give him a C. But if we look at his running lines, and his 3 seconds is a little troubling, and I think he maybe gives himself a little bit too much to do late. But for these purposes here, it's not quite such a bad running style if you're thinking about big odds underneath on your tickets. Class-wise, he's by Creative Cause, who was on the Derby trail in his day, and 2 turns isn't going to be a problem from that perspective. You see the average winning distance of the dam is 7.8 furlongs, so 2 turns is not a problem for this one. The genetic strength value score is pretty good. It's one of the higher ones, and while it's not completely accurate, it does give you an indication there's some class here. The dosage index and the center of distribution, again, not completely accurate because they haven't updated the Chefster race in some time. But a 1.53 would give you the indication that stamina is more to this one's liking. The longer the race, the better he's going to want it. And a 0.50 also is an indication of a horse who is more on the stamina side. So from a class perspective, he probably fits within this group, and he'll certainly get the 1.25 miles. Whether it's going to be fast enough is really the biggest question. If you look at his speed, he got an 87 buyer for the Arkansas Derby. That was his career high. 96 Brisnet number, which isn't bad in this field. But the troubling one is he got a 5 in the Thorograph. And his 2 prior efforts earlier in his 3-year-old year were far below that. So this was a big spike from what he normally does. Usually when that happens, there's a regression afterwards. And so he's coming into the Derby. Well, yes, he had a great performance, but he's likely to not follow that up with another good one. So consequently, he's going to get a C- because he really doesn't stack up speed-wise to begin with. So, and then he's probably going to regress from there. We also did his pace numbers that we can take a look at. And you'll see the Arkansas Derby, his first fraction was 53.98, and so he was towards the back. The second call was where he started to make his move, and he made a big rally and then finished out pretty well with a 52.94, which is borderline for the Kentucky Derby. Usually you like to see something over 53, as we know. So he's right on the edge as far as having a good last fraction as an indicator of whether or not he'll get the distance. Pace parameters-wise, his average and sustained pace, AP and SP, are right up there with some of the leaders. So from that perspective, he's okay. We prorated his 1.25 mile time, and you see a 48.9 and 113. So he's going to be towards the back. He will not be pressing the pace. And then he's going to try to close well. And his final prorated 1.25 mile time, based on the Arkansas Derby pace parameters, is 2.02.90, which is kind of outside the realm of competitive in this race. And consequently, you're probably looking at more of a third or a fourth as a best possible finish. He gets a C+ for the pace grade because it was a graded stakes and he had a decent performance. And his pace numbers do stack up as halfway decent in comparison to the rest of this field. It's more his running style that's going to get him anything in this race. I'm on the fence with tossing him because he's due for a bounce But his running style, he doesn't have to do a whole lot of running early, and all he has to do is just keep running, and he'll pass a lot of tired horses, and he might even be able to get into third or fourth. That's the ceiling for this horse. No better than that. He is not going to be another Rich Strike. So let's get that out of our heads right now. So I'm on the fence with this one, but leaning towards tossing. So 3 new additions to the Derby field. Of the 3, I'd say Mandarin Hero is probably the one with the best chance to factor in the race. However, he is very compromised by being way out in post 19. But if I was going to choose one to think about using seriously, he would be the one. He's coming off a pretty good Santa Anita, and he looks to be competitive in this field. As far as the other 2, Cyclone Mischief, I think, is a pace presence only. I just don't think he's fast enough, and he's likely to be backing up in the stretch, particularly the fact he's coming from way outside. Going to be awful difficult for him to get to where he wants to, so he's going to have to use a lot of energy early. King Russell, the post really doesn't matter at all. His late running style gives him a puncher's chance, but more than likely the best he could do is underneath in the superfecta. He's going to be clunking up, and he is due for a bounce, so even though he has the right running style to score at big odds underneath on our tickets, I find it a little unlikely you're going to get a good race out of him. But you won't have to do a whole lot of running early, so who knows? He is not the next Rich Strike. That is not going to happen again this year. I want to be really emphatic about that. So please do not consider this, because it's a similar scenario to last year, that lightning is going to strike twice. King Russell ain't him. Red Strike had a lot more talent than King Russell does. So anyway, that's just my little soapbox about that. I'll leave it up to you to make your own conclusions. Hope our analysis helps you, and that now you have a complete guide to for wagering on the Derby. If you do like what you see here, please like and subscribe as always, and we thank you for coming by. I'll be staying vigilant, so if there are any more updates, you'll get them as soon as they happen. So in the meantime, just be best of luck this weekend. I think it's going to be a fun one. Hopefully we'll all take down some money. And until I talk to you again, be well.